Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode here on the channel of the Comics Impressions series on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia, otherwise known as the Wandering Quill and the Wandering Scribe, and we are now on book 4 of A La Brava. And the fourth book now follows the character Ruca. Now, Ruca made a cameo in Santa where she unknowingly is given her powers. That's one of the spoilers I did not want to make in the second video for Santa. In this book, we start off with Ruca coming back to East LA only to discover everything's changed. She heads to Whittier Blvd, and instead of the usual cruising, I should say, there's an art show. There she discovers an activist group called the BBs. They tell her about the stolen neighborhood kids, and that word is they take them to San Diego to sell them off. Ruca decides to go to Barrio Logan to find out who's behind the kidnappings and child traffickings. Along the way, she befriends Vato the pitbull, Pachuca the B-girl dancer, and the good-natured Chicle. And this is the villain of the story, which that also seems to be the running thing. Like at the end of every book or at the back cover, you will find out who the villain is. And this is Ruca, who is the main character and protagonist of book 4. Now, if I had to say in terms of artwork, the artwork definitely reminds me a lot of Jalisco. There is some comparison in the artwork, which I do greatly appreciate. And, you know, ultimately, if you are from East LA, you're going to know exactly where the story takes place, like the familiar settings, the surroundings, and everything. And ultimately, you know, it's a really, really good story. And it definitely brings up a lot of real-world issues, you know, in particular to this book that affect, you know, the Latin community in East LA. So I greatly appreciate Kayden Phoenix for writing a story about that. And, you know, just seeing that, it's really, really good. And, you know, the story itself is just so well done. It's just so... Even if she doesn't have, like, superpowers, this book itself could be the exact same thing. And if there was no powers in it whatsoever, it'll be completely fine. Ruca, you know, as I said, it does touch on a heavy topic, which is child trafficking and human trafficking. So it may be a little uncomfortable for readers, but the villain in this story for Ruca is probably the most creepiest I have ever seen out of the A La Brava cast of villains. Not even Jalisco's villain was this creepy. I mean, this is the villain. Look at that face. That is terrifying. That blank stare. Ultimately, you know, we find out a little bit more about what's been happening in East LA. Ruca learns a little bit more of what's happening with the neighborhood kids. And there are some instances where Ruca, you know, she gets, you know, very, very angry. And there's one thing in particular, this really made me sad, being a dog person, is, of course, you know, the death of her dog. And that is so traumatic. And, you know, ultimately, the whole story, it reads so very well. And the activist group plays a major role. And again, I can't say enough good things about the artwork. The artwork is so good. I mean, look at this. This gives me the Nun vibes, that horror movie. Because this woman right here, she is terrifying in the book. So, again, Kayden Phoenix and her team, they knock it out of the park. And, oh gosh, I can't say enough good things about Ruca. The story is so good. The characters are so believable, and it brings to awareness about a real-world issue that is still being fought to this day by many organizations, many activist groups around the world, and even here in the United States. So, definitely another 5 out of 5 for Kayden Phoenix and her team. So, definitely go check out Ruca and add this to your collection. And as another bonus take here is the final book in the A La Brava series, Bandita. Bandita is a cowgirl living in modern-day New York. She's got 2 ivory-plated guns on each holster, speaks only country, and bleeds Southern hospitality. When Bandita hears about a Broadway theater gang taking advantage of the talent, she tryouts for them and lands a job as a custodian. There she befriends Cheyenne, the new lead singer, and learns all about the Científicos' abusive ways. On opening night, Bandita faces off against the boss of the Científicos, Luna Loca. So this is the artwork for Bandita, and this one I feel closely gets to almost like the first book, which I think that was the intention. I could be wrong, but ultimately it goes back full circle to what the story is about, or what this series is about, giving agency and voice to these characters and these communities, as well as bringing awareness to topics, whether they are grand scale like human trafficking and child trafficking in Luca, or even more personal ones like domestic violence, which is actually one of the major topics in Bandita. That's actually a major plot element, and how she actually gets her 2 silver-plated guns. And ultimately, it's a really great story. Yeah, the artwork, I could see people getting fooled thinking, oh, it's young adult. It is not young adult whatsoever. And ultimately, we see this and we learn more about the character Bandita, her journey to becoming the person she is, why she's doing this, and what is her ultimate goal. And that's what I really appreciate about Bandita, bringing to forefront a topic that is very apparent, that I think a lot of us can identify with. Even if we've never experienced ourselves, we probably have known someone in our life that has gone through that, and that is, of course, again, domestic violence and abuse, which is a major cornerstone in Bandita. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about all these books. These are incredible books, incredible characters, and I just absolutely love the artwork, the detail, and just giving individuality to all of these characters. So again, to Kayden, Phoenix, if you are watching this, I absolutely love this series. This is an incredible series, and I urge all of you to go and check it out. So again, another 5 out of 5 of the A La Brava series. And with that, we have reached the end of the A La Brava series, especially, or I should say, in terms of the 5 books. There are 2 other books that I'll be showcasing here on the channel, but you'll have to see that in the next episode. So, as always, I will see you all then.